Bam!
I'm Jayson Waller with the True Underdog podcast, top 3 podcasts for entrepreneur motivational. And I've got one of my best friends, one of my business partners, one of my mentors, one of the OGs in the alarm game, and my homie here in the solar game, Ben Brookhart. How you doing, baby?
What's up, JW? In the new studio, man. This place is awesome.
Hey, hold on. We're going to give a shout out real quick to our sponsors. Check this out. I got this new button. Today's show has been brought to you by Power Home Solar. It's time to own your power, not rent your power. Don't be left in the dark and start reducing those electricity bills. If you're looking for a career, visit powerhome.com/careers. Bam. Don't you love that?
Love it.
We got to hire people, man. We're always hiring people.
I know, man. Everybody's out there listening, looking for a life-changing opportunity. It's right here, baby.
And you know what's crazy is we just looked at some budgeting, and you guys have added like 50% staff in the last 3 months.
Look, the solar business is crazy. This is a rocket ship. It's what we always talk about. It is taking off rapid speed. We need superstars. A lot of average people out there doing average things. We're looking for superstars to change the world.
I love that. And so I've got this new series, Ben, through the True Underdog podcast, which we passed Gary V, which was a big deal. We're excited about that.
Love it. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. I love it. So super blessed, super appreciative, very thankful. I have gratitude. But look, when you're winning, you got to keep capitalized, and that's what we're doing. So I created a new series called, look at this right here, Own Your Power book, coming out. No excuses, no bullshit. Your time is now. And that is going to be what the series is we pull a chapter out of the book. You can pre-order this on Amazon right now.
And I just got to say, I got to read the book. Man.
Was it good?
It is an awesome book because Jay just gives it to you real. There is no bullshit about what he puts in that book. That's who he is. That's what this book is about. So when the opportunity comes out, people can pre-order it now. Yep. You got to get your copy. That is a book you want to read. You won't be able to put it down.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, and look, you've written a book, and then you're getting ready to publish another children's book too, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And you've got a book. Talk about your book that you had that came out.
Yeah. So Success Hurricane: How to Achieve Success at a Category 5 Level. It just walks through basically entrepreneurship, how to get out there, how to create your own success, how to overcome adversity, just some of the founding principles of what it takes to get out there and own your business, be successful in life. And success is measured in many different ways. And so I talk about some of the lessons that help me get to where I am, where I'm going, where I want to be. And then on the children's book side, I have 5 kids. I already wrote one children's book. It's called Things My Daddy Says. Love that book. It's a little mentoring book for your little ones. And the new book is called Hunting Adventures with My Daddy. So it's My Daddy series. And it's a great little story. Sit down with the kids in bed, flip the pages, look at the pictures, get some smiles, some laughter. That's what it's all about.
And some of the folks and listeners out there might not know you, Ben. You've got 5 kids. I mean, look, I was happy with my 4. This man's got 5. Loves family. He's the most family-oriented person I've ever met. So I think it's just perfect that you wrote children's books.
Hey, you got to have goals in life. Like I set a goal of 3 kids. What like I say? I'm an overachiever. I got 5.
I love that. Well, one of the chapters, I want to go into chapter 2 of my book and talk about what that means, like that title of that chapter and kind of what that means to you, maybe some situational things that you've had in mind. And the chapter 2 is really called Make Your Own Map.
So making your own map in life, making your own map in relationships, ultimately is really just taking control. Mm-hmm. It's not allowing other people to...
I fucked that up, by the way.
Okay.
Making your own map was last episode. Yeah. Okay. And that's okay. That's okay because I did that with John. That was chapter 1. Chapter 2 is there's no elevator in life. You have to take the stairs. That's what we're talking about here.
You threw me off. You threw me off on that.
So if you want to do Make Your Own Map, you got to check the last episode out, Own Your Power with John LeBlanc. We did Make Your Own Map. We told stories. This one, see, we keep it real and raw here at True Underdog. This one is there is no elevator in life. You have to take the stairs one at a time. What does that mean to you when you hear that?
Man, there is no shortcuts to success, baby. That's what it's all about. And when you're at the airport, I think about it. You got the opportunity to go down the walking escalator or you can walk. And are you going to get there faster with the walking escalator? Yeah, it's going to get you there a little bit quicker. But when you walk and you get to that spot you want to go, you feel better because you burned some calories. You didn't take the shortcut. You went the long way and you felt rewarded by that. And that's really what it's all about, is not taking shortcuts in life. Because Jay, you and I both know there are some things that we both have done in our lives where we thought it was like a quick win and we went after it. Never, ever, ever works out. It just doesn't. And you may see some short-term gains, but they fade away so quick. You've got to be able to invest the right time. You got to be able to invest the right money. You've got to get the right people around you. All of those things factor in to taking the proper way to get to where it's not just a house of cards that falls.
Right.
Like, that foundation is so important. And so many people think, oh, I got money. I'm just going to go start a business. I'm going to buy the people around me. I'm going to, perfect example is in the home security business, which we were both in. There's a company called AT&T, and they made a splash in the home security business. And everybody was just freaking out thinking, oh my gosh, they got all this money. And you know what they did? They came in and they spent billions of dollars on advertising. But the security business wasn't really built on advertising. It was built on, one-to-one relationships. And they didn't make it in the business. AT&T didn't make it in the home security business because they thought it was just about the money, when it was about culture and people and relationships and all the things that are key.
I agree 100%. And I think what you really said there is it's all the little things that equal that. And I think when you're climbing those stairs in life, and a lot of people get discouraged because they look up and they're like, man, in order for me to have we have $1 billion business we're building, right? It didn't happen overnight. I mean, even when you came in and rejoined us back in 2019, we just finished the year with 185 million.
Right.
We're on pace to do 700 plus million this year. We had public companies looking at us for over $1 billion. We said no for now. Yeah. Right. But how did we get there? And we got there by the little things that matter. When we first got into this business, or any business, you've opened up a company, built it from the ground up, a very successful home security company. You didn't imagine it doing 35, 40 million a year in sales. You imagine, hey, how do I get a first paycheck? How do I get a few employees? It's all those little things, those little wins. You have to lower your goal and expectations a little bit and focus on those small goals. And you have to learn by taking the stairs, because when you take the stairs and the fundamental things of learning and strengthening not only your body, but your mind and your soul and all that experience, that's where you get better and you can really advance yourself in life. But when you I just did it, I just got this license, I'm going to open up and do, you're failing. You're wasting time. You're wasting money. You're not getting that experience. And having some of those fallouts, I know when I got in the home security business, it was like I was running appointments with, little coupons that said, hey, free garage door opener and free alarm system. And I'd have to go in and pitch a few of these, and I sold myself, and, I'd go in and write these deals. And then that's me learning the business. That's me taking the stairs. And then, then I'll train someone to do it. And I get even bigger. Then I train a couple people to do it. And I get even bigger. I train a manager to hire people to do it. That's, to me, part of it is learning those little steps, those little lessons. Like, you played baseball. You just don't hit the ball. There's so many other parts of the game that you've got to learn. To me, that's kind of taking the steps.
Yeah, 100%. The other part too that no one wants to talk about is all the sacrifices that you have to make along the way, because it is a long road and it is a hard road. But, when you are trying to start a business or, do something different, there's going to be setbacks every single time. And when they come, you never know. But when they do come, they hurt. They're painful. And a lot of people don't recover because they give up, they quit. Where the most successful people are the ones who don't quit. They learn from those mistakes. Everybody talks about failing forward, and you got to have failures to be successful. And you do, as long as you learn from them and don't make the same mistakes over and over. And we've watched people fail and quit. And then they usually go try to start another business.
But stop with that. Fail and quit. Why do you think it is right when they fail, they quit? What is it that's alarming them to just get out of that situation?
Sometimes it's cash flow. Yeah. Sometimes they can't go any further. Sometimes
What about fear?
Yeah, they're scared. You're right.
That's
a big one.
Fear just gets into them.
Yeah, they can't get past that hurdle. And you've got to figure out a way to get around that hurdle, jump over that hurdle, bust through that hurdle, whatever the case may be. But look, if you fought so hard to get there, you can't give up. You've got to find a way. And then if you can't find a way, look, be humble and make some phone calls. Yeah. Reach out to your network. Let them know what you're going through, what your experience, how can they help you? Maybe it's just a mentorship to talk you through it, work through it. Maybe it's to connect with them financially so you can get out of the jam you're in. Maybe you've got to give up a piece of your company, some equity, whatever the case may be. But don't be too proud to reach out to folks when you need help. And that's where a lot of people fail too.
And when you opened your business, talk about that, how you're really taking the stairs, because you were the one, it was you and Eric, and you did everything yourself starting out. So talk about that.
Well, you already touched on it, Jay. I mean, the most important thing when you're starting a business is, there's being an operator and then there's being an owner. And when you start the business, you can't be an owner. You have to be an operator. You got into a business because maybe you had previous experience, in which I think that's the only way to do it, is you can't just say, hey, other people are being successful, let me go just start this business. You've got to go out there, start at the ground level, whether that's knocking on doors or running appointments or getting on the phone, whatever it is that you do. You've got to have that experience, because when you hire people to replace yourself, you got to know how to hold them accountable. And if you haven't performed the duty, then you don't know what the expectation for it is. And so how can you hold somebody accountable for something that you haven't done yourself? Right. So a lot of people fail that way. So, you and I did the same things, and we went out there and we were at the ground level. We got out in the field. We sold home security, or we sold solar, whatever the case was. And then we grew the business, and it was about replacing ourselves and surrounding ourselves with great people and attracting great people, being excited, being motivational, loving life, smile.
I agree. What about some of the hardships that you occurred? Because taking the stairs sometimes hurts. It's painful, right? You got to walk up and it's like, this is tough, but I got to get through it. What were some of the hardships year one for you and your company? Because a lot of these listeners out there, they get in there and then they're like, this is too hard, and they run from that fear. But what are some of the hardships that you had to learn from in year one?
Sure. Well, I went from being one of the best salespeople in the alarm industry. When I got out of college, I started selling alarm systems at 21 years old. And then when the company that I was working for sold to AT&T, or to ADT, I'm sorry, I had to start my own business. There wasn't another opportunity for me. And so I went from being a sales rep to now I had to figure out how to do payroll. I had to do licensing. I had to do contract administration. I didn't know how to do any of this. So those were the first hurdles that I had to get through, is now I had to run a business. It wasn't just about selling something. It was about ordering equipment, getting it installed, dealing with customers for installation issues, like all these things some people don't think about. They just want to go out and say, hey, I can sell. Will you put it in, Joe? All right, let's go start a business and let's rock and roll. Concept is great. It's a great start, but just know there's a lot of other things that you won't know how to do that you're going to have to figure out, or you're going to have to hire somebody. And then you're going to have to trust that they do the job and holding them accountable.
And I love that you said you're going to have to figure it out, because I think the best learning experience is trial and error. Like, you have to have that experience by actually doing it. You can't just assume, how am I going to do payroll? You gotta fucking do it, right? Yeah. How am I going to worry about this customer service? You're going to have to talk to the customer. You can't run from it. And I think that's really where it starts, as you're starting your career, your life. You're taking those stairs when it starts to get hard, your legs are tired, your mind is tired. I'm using this like in business. You're like, this is frustrating. I had a rule that I realized, and I was blessed because I had a little bit of money from 401k when I opened my first company, which allowed me to not pay myself, right? And I'm a big believer, if you're a brand new entrepreneur out there, you do not need to get in business to go get rich. You don't need to get in business to drive a Lamborghini. If you had a Lamborghini, it sucks. There's no reason. There's nobody dancing. There's no fireworks. There's no camels and elephants doing backflips. None of that shit happens.
Hold on. Wait a second. He just said I had a Lamborghini and it sucks. Okay. First of all, the Lamborghini didn't suck. It was a badass ride. But I think what he was saying is, I've been there, done that. It was cool.
It wasn't as good as the Porsche. The Porsche was a little nicer.
That Porsche is badass.
Right. But my point is I didn't get into business to get rich.
What is that thing called?
Porsche Taycan Turbo 4S.
All right, so I rode in this vehicle this morning, And I don't know if y'all been to Disney, but the Rock and Roll Express, that's what it felt like when Jay hit the gas. Like my head went back. I felt that pit in my stomach like go up through my throat. That's an awesome ride.
I love that car too, dude. It's so exciting to drive. Electric cars are the future. That's the deal.
Yeah.
But you know what? When I get into, I believe in business that think you have to have the right why. And it can't be I want to be rich. It can't be I want to buy a car or house. It can be I want to provide better for my family, but it's got to be more than just that. And that's step one. And so when you get into business, I have these 3 rules that I still to this day, we deal with it. You heard me screaming on an executive call the other day, like maybe the executives don't need to get paid, right? I'm throwing that out there because when things are tight, but I have a rule. Number 1, the first people you pay in your business as you're growing is your people. Right. Not you, not your vendors. Number 1 is your people. If you have people, people come first.
And why do you do that, Jay?
Because you can't grow, you can't scale if you don't take care of your people. Your foundation, your company's built on your people. Those are the ones trusting you with their lives and their family. If you can't provide for them, then you're worthless. They're following you into that. They're putting their family and their careers on your shoulders. You're responsible for that. They become like your children. Your company's like your children. You're not going to not feed your kids before yourself. If you are, you're a selfish son of a bitch. But really, you got to feed your kids first, right? You don't just go feed your, I'm eating, son, you can eat later. Like, no, that's not what we do as human beings.
Yeah, have y'all heard that? He said trust.
Yeah.
Without that, you've got nothing. And when you put yourself before everybody else, you're not earning trust. But when your people see that you make sacrifices for them, dude, now you build loyalty.
That's right. And loyalty is big. So first thing, invest in your people. They get paid first. 2, your vendors. If you don't pay your vendors, again, goes back to trust. Goes back to that relationship. They're not going to give you the product. And if you don't have the product to sell, what are you going to do? Vendors are second. 3rd is reinvest in your company. And I always get people messaging me asking, when do I get paid? You don't. You get paid after you've reinvested enough to build a foundation, and then you start slivering small checks because you need to get used to, you said you're not an operator, you're an owner, and it's 2 different things, and you got to be able to function like that. Well, you also got to be able to function on like no pay or very little pay, like, bologna sandwiches and, ramen noodles. Like you can't milk the company. We've seen so many entrepreneurs open a business. Yeah, they'll pay their people. Okay, they'll pay their vendors, but then they like suck the money dry. Yeah. And one bad week, one bad day, one bad month, bam, they're out of business. They're gone because they didn't reinvest to build that foundation for the company to sit on.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to one thing you said about the vendors and how important that is, because you're going to have to leverage that relationship at some point in your business. You're going to have a cash crunch. And as long as you've been paying those vendors all along and you've built that trust, there will be a time where you will have to call them and be like, hey, Joe, man, I can't afford to buy these panels right now. I need you to float me for an extra 60 days. I'm going to be good for it. I got to get through this cash crunch. I've got this job coming up, that job. And if they believe you and then they trust in you and you've proven your ability to stay committed to what you say, they will step up, and that will prevent a failure that other people won't be able to overcome because they didn't have it.
That's correct. Yeah. You see people slow paying people. You can't do that. You got to take care of them till you can't. Yeah. And you're right. You're going to run into those bumps. Every company, we still run into cash flow bumps, and we did 70 million in sales. I'm going to go, bam!
Yes, sir.
Last month, which is a record-breaking month. So congrats. And,
awesome.
But that's a big deal, but you still run into cash flow problems. I don't care how big company you are. You're going to have problems. That's what, learning is about. And one thing you said I think is important, and part of taking the stairs and not the elevator it's the concept of learning is having humility to call and ask for help or talk to some of your friends or your peers or be coached. It's so important. And I look at where Ben 1.0 was and Jayson 1.0 was many years ago compared to now. We're completely different human beings because of our failures, because of our experiences. Sometimes we had egos that got in the way, but then we learned how to have humility, how to have gratitude, how to build relationships, how it's okay to be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm not the best at everything. I need your help.
Yep.
How important is that for entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, it's huge. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with the people around you. You got to have relationships where you can call people and just really pour out your heart and know that they're not going to judge you. They're going to listen and give honest feedback. And I'm blessed to have Jay as one of those people in my life that, I can call him and be real with them and just share my heart, what's going on. If I got something heavy, I want to get it off my shoulders, I'll lay it on him. He'll listen. He'll give me advice back. And you've got to have people.
And I
like
do
that.
the same thing. I'll call you like, man, this is fucking bothering me. What do I do? Like, I value your opinion. You're a mentor of mine. I care about what you think I might be doing. It matters to me because you're a friend, your family, you're my partner in business. Like, it's important to surround yourself with people that can help elevate you and you can elevate them.
Yeah. And I'm the same way, man. You're a mentor to me as well. And just touching more on that question, I'm gonna give you all an example. I hired a CEO coach because I want to get better. You know, here we are, $1 billion company. We've never managed $1 billion company, right?
I mean, me neither.
$70 million a month in sales. I mean, 500 plus.
By the way, 70 million. Before when we did business, we did 40 million in a year.
Whole year.
In a year.
We just did this in
Just
a month.
saying.
So it's super exciting, but look, I want to stay ahead of the game. I want to learn from someone that's been in this position that has managed big businesses to help me through some things I don't even know about. And one of the things that he suggested is he said, Ben, let's do this. We've got your assessment. We know what your strengths and weaknesses are, but let's find out from your team. We see what this paper says, but let's reach out to your team. Let's find out what you do great, what you maybe don't do so well, or what they would like to see more of, and let's ask them. And he did that. So he went to all of my direct reports, and the feedback was great. So I learned some things about myself, but when I took that back to my team and said, number one, thank you guys. I really appreciate the honesty that you gave. Thank you for all the nice things that you said. I love you guys, but really thank you for the opportunity to let me know where I can improve. And here, you know, I'm the executive of the sales team. I don't have to do any of this, but I want them to know that I am always wanting to get better at my job and what I'm doing and how I can serve them, and to have that humble heart and to know that, look, this guy, I mean, he's asking us how he can get better and he's challenging us to get better. So being able to take criticism and not take it personal and ask for criticism. We have conversations on our executive team. Jay, what can I do better? You know, you tell me all the things I'm doing great, but where can I improve? You have to be able to accept some criticism, constructively or not, grow from it, and then get your folks that are working with you to do the same.
And that's part of taking the stairs, because you're gaining
not
knowledge.
easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's hard. You're not cheating the system. I know it all. I can do all this. No, you're wanting to learn. You're being vulnerable with the team. You're having humility. You're being humble. You're having gratitude. Like all of the good things over the last few years that I've been trying to soak up and become a better person, a better entrepreneur, a better partner, a better, husband, a better father, a better grandfather. Like all these things. We always want to be better. AGB, always getting better. We're always focusing on that. You have to remind yourself that, we're here to serve. You said that. We're here to serve. Whoever that is, our spouse, our kids, our business, our friends, we're here to serve. You can never make things about yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a big key. One thing you also mentioned that I want to talk about is, well, first of all, what was the feedback? What was the criticism that you got? What was the biggest part that you were surprised about?
Jay already knows this answer. He's just wanting to talk about it some more. So I consider myself more of a relationship type of manager. Okay, I build my team through relationships. I'm trying to build trust and loyalty are the two most important things. Jay's style is a little bit different than mine. He's what I call a fear-based manager. Okay, like he's gonna put the fear of God in you to do something. That's not me. So I tell my team, look, guys, I'm not a fear-based manager, but they all said, Ben says he's not a fear-based manager, but he is. I'm like, well, give me some examples of that. Well, the example is I would ask my team to be committed to something, that you've got to hit this requirement, you've got to hit this goal. And if you don't, then you're going to get written up. And their whole point has been, we already know we're going to get written up if we don't hit that goal. We don't need you to tell us like, hey, here's what I need you to do. And if you don't do it, here is the stick that's coming. And so I kind of understand that, but look, everybody's got to be held accountable. So I think that I just need to work on some of my delivery techniques of how I communicate.
I think it's great.
But I do, if they're listening, I love you guys. I appreciate you. So I'm gonna work on that. And another thing was spending more time mentoring the leadership team. And that just comes down to timing, planning, organization, making sure that my schedule's not owning me. I've got to own my schedule, and you've got to find those times where you can pick up the phone. Everybody wants to text message these days. Look, pick up the phone, have one-on-one conversations. That is meaningful for the people that work with you, report up to you. They want to know how you got to where you are. Right. And you have things to offer to them, and they want that knowledge. And those who ask for it, those are your potential superstars.
I agree. And I think sharing knowledge, a lot of people are very secretive. Like, I don't want to, they're nervous to replace themselves. And I always, in our business, we like reward. I believe the best leaders are the ones that create more leaders.
Amen.
Right? It's not about you have the best results. That's a plus.
Yeah.
But when you're making new leaders, you're a rock star.
Yes.
And too many people like nervous, like, I don't want them to have this. They'll take my job. And that's just insecurity. And there's no room for that.
Right.
Not in our business.
No, 100%. Yeah. If you have the ability to help elevate other people, you're going somewhere.
I agree. I mean, and I go back and I look at, the greatest players in the NBA, Magic Johnsons and Michael Jordans and Larry Birds, and I'm going to throw out Isaiah Thomas and LeBron James,
my boy
right?
From Indiana.
That's right. But you go down the list, and they always had a mentor there in most teams, right? Magic Johnson had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's one of the greatest players ever, but here he is mentoring Magic Johnson, who ends up arguably being better than Kareem, and he knew that, but he didn't care. He was giving that information to him. You see that all the time. It's so important, and people get nervous, and they shouldn't feel that way. The goal here is to elevate. Because when you elevate other people, you're really elevating yourself, the industry, everything around you, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and I think if you think, and you just said all those names, and you think about who their coach is, like you know who the coach is.
Yeah.
Phil Jackson was Jordan's coach, right?
Yep.
Every great player has always had a great coach. I mean, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick.
Yep.
Much as I hate the guy, he's a great coach. And so if you are a leader, you are a coach, and you've got players that are great, but they need you and you need them. So you got to figure out how you can help each other get to where you want to go.
I agree. So to wrap this episode up, let's talk about taking the stairs. We've talked about some issues and how hard it can be. What about when you get small wins? What does that build?
Big wins, baby. We go after the small victories every day. It's kind of like in sales,
momentum.
Yeah.
Momo.
Oh, big Mo, babe. Big Mo. But when you start in a sales career, anything, you do anything in life, there's that big win that you're thinking about, man, if I could go get that account, or if I could go out there in the home security business. We first started, we're like, I'm going to all the $1 million homes, all these people that got money. And in reality, I needed to focus on the smaller ones and do the volume to get to there. And I'm a volume guy. You're a volume guy. That's the business that we were born into. And so with volume, you need a lot of small wins. And the small wins build that big Mo. And it's like that locomotive. The saying goes with the train. Look, I can put a piece of cinder block in front of a locomotive, and if it ain't moving, it can't move that block. But I can put 5 cinder blocks deep, those road barriers, and if that train is going, it'll bust through all of them because it's got that momentum to break through those hard points. And so that's where the small wins go. You hit it right on the head, is it will build momentum, and with momentum, you can overcome, get through, and just crush things. And that's what we do here, is crush things.
Bam, we crush things. Crush. Hey, how do you like this new room, the way it's set up and how sexy our voice sounds?
This is awesome, man. I just love all these famous people you got back here that you've had.
Should I put some Benny B back there?
Hey, there you go. We need a picture together up there. Can I make the wall?
Yes.
Me and you together. Let's put the
This
wall.
episode, we're going to put it up there. We're going to pull somebody down.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming off the list. And absolutely. And
so let me ask you something, Jay. All these folks up here, like you've interviewed millionaires, billionaires, highly successful people, all walks of life, ages, gender, everything, like diversity, the whole thing going on up here. If you could say the 2 things that you've taken away from all of these folks for them achieving the level of success, what would it be?
Number 1 would be confidence. Every one of them have confidence in themselves. They didn't let the outside world, whether it be their peers, their friends, their haters, control their destiny. They had the confidence and love for themselves. That would be one. Two would be grit. None of them, and tenacity, none of them quit. Every one of them had a lot of problems, a lot of struggles, a lot of things to overcome. Those blockades that you talked about, the locomotive hitting, but they had enough confidence and enough want and desire to bust through that shit and get through. And when I'm looking, Travis Mills, the warrior path, he's a quadriplegic, no legs, no arms, blew up on a bomb in Afghanistan, right? Comes back, gets married, has 2 beautiful kids, runs a business. One of the most positive people I've ever interviewed. White boy Rick, good friend of ours.
Yeah.
In prison, wrong. Look, he broke the law, deserved to go to prison, but they kept a kid in there that the FBI hired as an informant and all this other jazz. If you watch the video or the documentary, kept him in for 32 years. One of the most positive people. You can't let the bullshit and the noise and everything hold you back. He's getting ready to open up a big cannabis business.
Love that guy, man. He's a great dude.
He is a great dude. And he doesn't do drugs. He doesn't drink alcohol. He
locked up all those years and doesn't hate the world. Came out and said, what can I do now?
Dude, he gave $10,000 to a foundation recently. He goes and gives food to homeless people in Detroit all the time. He's just one of those great human beings that you're like, oh, I hate that you have that label or that burden over you that you have to live with, because it's unfortunate for him, because had you not known that about him, you'd be like, dude, this is one of the best people you ever met. To me, he still is, but he has that aura about him that he's been in prison for 32 years, and it's unfortunate. I got to take him to the Barry Sanders shoot. Yeah. That was pretty cool because he's a huge Barry fan, and Barry and him get along. Like Barry's like, dude, and they're just like chatting because Rick's a great guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But those are the 2 things I think. It's confidence and it's like grit and tenacity. Like, anytime you're going to be successful, and success, we talk about this, isn't how much money you make. It isn't your role in your business or being an influencer or being famous. It is having fulfillment. Mm-hmm. And some of the most successful people I know have basic jobs, make basic money, and they don't care. They're good with that. They're happy as can be. That's success. Empowering and helping other people is successful to me. And every one of these people that I interviewed, a lot of them are famous or rich, but they've all helped people. They never put themselves first. They took the stairs. They didn't take the elevator. They fell down the stairs. They walked their ass back up. And they looked at small goals. We talk about this all the time. You can't say, I'm going to get to the 100th floor and I'm going to take these stairs and it's going to be exhausting, because you talked about people just quitting. Like they get tired, like this is so hard, I'm done. But if you look at, hey, how do I get to the 2nd floor? Okay, that's good. What about getting to the 3rd floor? Like we talked about laughing, hey, we hit 50 million in sales. Yeah. Well, now we did 70 million. Yeah. Well, what does it feel like? Feels like 50 million. What does 50 million feel like? 30 million. What is that? Because we're staying in the moment with those baby goals to keep going. We're taking the freaking stairs.
Amen. Amen. I had to do burpees for 5 minutes this morning. And
what?
My
hey, by the way, lost a lot of weight. Benny B's looking good, man.
Yeah,
got the guns going. He sent me a picture. I was like, did he Photoshop that shit? He's got like 6-pack going. I'm like, damn, I got to get it together, dog.
Hey, my trainer told me there's one thing you can't pay for, and that's getting fit, because you got to do the work yourself. And that's so true. But this morning it was 5 minutes of burpees, and my trainer said a good number is 70. I'm like, well, I'm beating that damn number. But it started with the first 5 and then 10 and then like I just had to keep focusing on the next one.
So hold on. You had 5 minutes to do 70 burpees?
Yeah.
It's like 12 a minute.
You ain't doing 70 burpees in 5 minutes.
I guess that is a lot. I don't know. It seems like it wouldn't be. It's like,
Cash didn't hit it. Brandon didn't hit it. I hit it. Now John's wife did 105.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I could do 60 push-ups and.
Yeah, you can beat me in push-ups. 100%. That's it. You got them arms. But
El Mondo says I got short arms, and he says short lives matter is what he said in the podcast.
That's great. Well, I know we're wrapping things up, but last thing I'd like to say is I know there's some folks out there that are probably struggling right now, Jay, and they're listening to this podcast and they're trying to get some hope. They're trying to get some confidence. They're trying to get something to get them through what they're going through. And I just want to say, I hear you, I feel you, and don't give up, because you're right at the end of that road where you feel like you've gone too far and you're about to turn around when the destination is just another half a mile. Like you are almost there. So whatever you got to do, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, work harder, put in extra hours, focus on a small goal. Like get after it today. Don't quit. You got this. You got this.
I love this. Day one, not one day.
Yes.
Day one. Let's get it done. Don't quit. Don't quit on your dreams. There's no reason to put all that work in just to walk away.
No,
put
man.
it in to get something.
That's right.
And failure can be education and experience, which only leads to more success.
Man, I love it.
Hey, love you, man. Love having you on.
Bam,
That's
baby.
a wrap here on the True Underdog podcast. I'm going to play the book promo real quick. Here we go. Jayson Waller here. Check out my book, Own Your Power. No excuses, no bullshit. Your time is now. It's 8 principles to better your life or a no excuses life. It is Amazon's #1 new release. Check it out at Amazon.com. Bam. Well, dude, I loved having you on the show. I got my new little toy here into the machine, into the booth. We got to show off the book a little bit. We got to talk about a chapter. We got to tell stories. We got to do this more often, dude. And by the way, just so you know, Ben and I are going to be doing masterminds coming out soon. So some of the little tidbits you get here, we're going to develop something over the next 3-4 months going into 2022 where we can go out, lay out and do some masterminds and help educate those entrepreneurs out there. So I'm super excited about having you on my team to do that.
Looking forward to it, man.
All right, that's a wrap here on the True Underdog podcast. Make sure you follow us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can go to YouTube or you can go to jasonwaller.com or trueunderdog.com. Bam! And that concludes another episode here on True Underdog. If you're interested in hearing more, make sure you subscribe at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube channel. You can always visit trueunderdog.com, subscribe to all of them. Make sure you check out our newest episodes coming out on Mondays and Thursdays. True Underdog, baby. Bam!